Greetings, folks. Welcome back to the Jason Damico Show. Thanks for subscribing on YouTube or listening in and subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Simplecast, any of those platforms that we love having you guys with us and joining us in on. And we've got a very special guest, as always, on the show. Our guest is the founder of Indie Band Guru. He's been everything from a musician to promoter, manager, booking agent, publicist, blogger, record label founder, and even has grabbed a degree from Berklee College of Music in music business. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Indie Band Guru, online music magazine geared toward emerging independent artists and their fans. And currently he's working on a lot of artist development and PR campaigns. We'll get more into that in a second. Please welcome my friend from the New York City area, Mr. Keith Profeta.
Hey, Jason, thanks so much for having me. Glad to be here with you.
Good to have you. Good to have you. And I'm glad we could get the took a couple of weeks to get the schedules kind of aligned, but we're here remotely in our Zoom chat room.
All right. Well, it's as much as we're supposed to be have all this free time. I've been working, more than ever. So time has been valuable.
You and I both. It's a little overwhelming, to be totally candid.
And keeping that focus going is tough when, you're home a lot of the time with nothing else to do. But that focus is tough when there's, all that other crap to do, like just lay on the couch and watch Netflix. So
Right. Well, we've got a lot of, I think I already know your episode's going to be full of insightful information. Before we really get into kind of those value points, I want to get a little bit of a background on how you got into the industry and how you found your niche, because I think that's pretty interesting. I read a little bit in your story bio about that and did a little bit of research online. How did it start for you?
I'll give you the long story since we got some time today.
Absolutely.
Basically, long story short, we'll take it back to 9/11 happened. I was working on Wall Street at the time. I was a stockbroker.
Wow.
And kind of right after that day, I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, just be in the area. So I ended up joining the Army to try to, go get the terrorists, basically. I was young, full of piss and vinegar. So, but I was born and raised in New York City. So
yeah,
for a little bit, I end up in North Carolina at the 82nd Airborne Division. So, you're familiar with that. I know.
Yeah. Is that Fayetteville?
Fayetteville, yeah.
Fort Bragg, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Fayetteville, which is much different than the New York City area.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
So when I was
real culture shock.
Yeah, used to just going out and finding music any night of the week was tough to find music I liked, especially when that time, we're talking almost 20 years ago now. It was
the
already
Britney Spears era.
Yeah, a lot of super pop or country.
Not dissing Britney, but it is what it is.
She did what she did, and she made a career out of it. God bless her.
Yeah,
but
it's the Cobra.
It moved to me basically starting a basic website, really just to kind of find more music. And I was just reviewing bands, sending me back when CDs were the thing. So had a PO box down there, and would get flooded with CDs every week. And I was just writing music reviews and kind of connecting with bands and from all over the world. Really, it was an interesting time. And instead of going out and trying to find bands at the local bar, I was, going to my mailbox and finding bands. So it was interesting. And I got to know a lot of them, did some, I guess, kind of planning for them, which, what I thought, a lot of stuff I just take for granted, I guess, from being in New York, but started helping them do some promotion for them. And it just kind of kept building. And I was brought on, as you mentioned, I did some management for some of them. I was doing some booking. And by the time I got back to New York after my years in service, I said, this is what I enjoy doing. So let's, keep moving to that management side of it and artist development side of it. And, here we are, just keep struggling along and helping those independent bands, while they're just getting started.
Now you played a little bit in the early years, right? What side of it were you on? Were you singing, playing?
I was it's actually right over there. My keyboard's still there. I was the
Oh,
keyboard
cool.
player. I played some bass, but I was in a band. The name, come on, you were used. We were called the Lush Puppies, and we toured down the East Coast a couple times, New York to Florida and back. But I was always the one doing the tour planning, doing the promotion,
Right.
getting the media coverage, while the other guys just wanted to come and drink some beer and get on
Right.
stage. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you need someone that can do all the other stuff. And I became that guy, and kind of by trial by fire, I kind of built up my knowledge in that side of the business and kind of fell in love with that side of the business.
Wow.
Because I honestly wasn't that good a keyboard player. So got to find your strengths, right?
Right. Right.
So
I by the way, at the end of the day, and you find, and you've got more experience obviously than I do at this point, with especially with the management side of things. It's definitely not my field. I am that guy who just wants to play, but especially in this day and age, it is crucial to have the network
yes.
and keep building those relationships.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's just, they say it is about who do you know? Let's
Yeah.
face facts. And granted, the music has to be solid. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere anyway. But you also got to be a personable person that could meet people and connect with them and, find out their strengths. And as a musician such as yourself, where the talent is there, the singing is there, the guitar playing is there, sometimes you got to build that team around you if you need someone to focus on the other side of it, which is where someone like me comes in, where I'm not ever getting up on stage with you again. But I could do the other side, the behind the scenes stuff. I don't want to see this mug out there too much. So.
Any major influences for you that kind of propelled the career, or even when you were out of the music scene for a while, like, oh, this is my guy, or this is my band, and these are the people I look up to?
I mean, for musically, it was definitely, Nirvana. I got to see them up in Buffalo. Was
Wow.
one of those memories that'll always be in my mind. Their last tour, bands like the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah.
Bands that were doing something different.
Yeah, I'm a big Chili Peppers fan.
Just love that early stuff, especially. It was
Yeah,
so different.
All that like late '80s before, and I mean, I love their whole discography, but a lot of that gets overlooked.
Yeah, the early stuff really caught me, and just the way it was so different and to what they were doing. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, when they started doing movie soundtracks a little later, I kind of was going downhill for me. But they're still driving their own lane, and that's what I like. Another band, Incubus, as well. Just kind of poetic lyric writing, just kind of something there to it that wasn't that mainstream. It ended up being mainstream in the end, but it was kind of finding their own lane and just driving that lane and seeing what the hell happened, And then just, the other side of it, business side, guys like Jimmy Iovine, a lot of the hip hop side kind of influenced my business acumen to kind of see that you could do it yourself. It's not about getting that major label signing and that's it, you're good. It's like, just hustle a little bit, do some Jay-Z type style stuff and you could build your own brand,
Right. And it's, especially in this day and age.
That's it. We have the ability with the use of this beautiful little computer to reach anybody,
Yeah.
So, and just at the same time, we talked about making contacts. It's not as hard as you think to just send an email to someone that you think is way out of your range. But if you word the email right, you'll get a response back a lot of the time, a lot more than you think.
You never know. You just never know. Yeah. And somebody was telling me, I think it was, we've got the Hurricanes down here in the NHL, and Wayne Gretzky, I think, was the player. So hopefully somebody doesn't like send me a hate comment over this. I should know this because we went to the same church as them for a long time, way back. But he's and I don't even know if he was the first one that said this, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
You're right. That was him.
Yeah. So and not to go on a little bit of a tangent, but while we're on it, I mean, you've got to schedule. You almost have to like schedule time to do those things. If spreading spreading the seeds, so to speak.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, even a lot of like artist development we're talking about. I work with a lot of young bands that kind of the band got together and they just don't know what to do next.
Right.
And I work on a lot of what I call time blocking, where we're gonna take 3 hours and practice your craft, in the studio, the practice room. But then you're gonna take an hour after that and put together emails to send out to possible contacts. You're gonna take another half hour after that to just work on social media. You got to plan those times and, put in that work. It's not going to get done without the work. So
Right.
make time for your work and get it done.
Right. When did you notice that you talked about having that inclination to kind of that trial by fire inclination on the road with that band or working with that band in your younger years? When did you see that you really had the drive and tenacity to do it? Was it around that time, or was it just, when did you know that you had the gift of that side of the business?
Yeah, even around that time, even the first 4 or 5 years of doing it, even being on the road and running, I still didn't give myself the credit for how easy it actually was. Like I said, I take a lot of it for granted, just making connections and talking to people. And through the years, when I realized that, I don't know, it's a weird way to look at it, but when I realized people were looking up to me and kind of
Right.
following what I was doing, I'm like, all right, I guess I am doing something right here, because what I'm saying and what I've been preaching for years, works. And I see other people doing it and I see that work for them. So, that's when I kind of realized that, like, let's take this as far as it can go then.
Yeah. No, that's interesting to see that trend. And you have something in your bio. I've got a couple of quotes. They're really short. One of them is true calling, quote unquote. Management and booking. When you found that true calling, was it at that point when things really started monetizing for you?
I wouldn't say the monetizing came right away. It was
Right.
just I guess it's mentally monetizing, because I was
Right.
actually enjoying the work. When
Yeah.
you're actually enjoying the work you put in, it's not really work. It's becomes like a hobby that can build. And if you keep doing it, then that's when, the monetization comes in and people are actually willing to pay you for your help. So,
And that's the reason why I kind of asked that, because, and you seem like a person that we can really dive into this with.
of course.
A lot of this industry is sweat equity to the extreme. I mean, it's a 24/7 job. You have to be able to jump when they tell you to jump or the opportunity tells you to jump. And maybe I'll dive in a little bit deeper with that question and ask how or when. We'll go with how. How were you able to find that balance between sweat equity work and, okay, now I have to kind of shift and really try and get some compensation with the contacts that I'm working with?
Right. Well, when I realized that I couldn't do all the stuff, I built up a knowledge base, that's
Right.
just happens from experience. And I realized I couldn't help everyone I wanted to help and couldn't share it all. And I started building a team under me, just as far as like someone to handle my emails. The email inbox was just getting flooded.
Right.
And taking away from the time when I could be of value and actually, monetary value as well, to working with an individual artist or a full band. It was taking 2 hours a day just to go through emails. And that was, costing me money. So I brought on someone else to just handle that, sort through all that crap, and
Right.
kind of focused on, where I was most valuable. And that value, is what earns the income. So
For sure. Now, if we could go back to the New York City day, well, you're still there, but venues, booking, love to hear that side of it too for a few minutes. Any stories or just any insights on that and how that came about?
oh yeah, it's kind of, that's what a lot of this business, it just falls into place. How, if you just in the game and keep doing it,
Right.
it falls into place. So I was booking for a couple bands that I was, kind of working with, doing, little tours, New York City, Connecticut, Jersey tours for them. And just kind of people became the actual, this is going to sound cheesy, but the original name of my booking company was No Better Booking. So I'll play off the name. So yeah, we won't repeat that one later, but so it became that No Better name just became like venues started emailing me as like, hey, we need someone to fill a spot next week. Do you got anybody? So that's where it became like, oh, okay. So now they realize that I send them quality bands.
Right.
So let's build it from there. So then I was brought in a couple places in Brooklyn, another place in Manhattan to be their booking agent, to handle all their, bookings. So it's that's a whole nother,
Oh, yeah.
can of worms to open, and it's just constant. And I'll just put this right out there, from the band side. Don't lie to a promoter or a booking agent, and don't say you're going to bring 100 people and then show up with 6, because that, I had deal with a lot of that. I was filling Fridays and Saturday nights at 3 different venues, so I was booking like probably between 15 and 20 bands a weekend. So it was a matter of wasn't able to know all the bands, and I had to kind of trust what they were telling me.
Right.
And when they would show up with 6 people, and it's okay if you have 6 people if I know that's what's coming in, because then you're going to be the opening act, and we're going to build you hopefully. But when I put you as a headliner and you bring those numbers, you're going to get blacklisted. And now I'm never going to use you again. And word spreads real quick. There's just those contacts, like you said, because other venues will ask, hey, have you heard of this band? I saw you book this band. And I'll say, don't work with them. So, it's all about, I don't know how much we can curse here, but.
Oh, yeah, it's free reign, free reign.
Just don't be an asshole. It sounds easy, but, be honest, and, face value will get you a lot further. I mean, even what I tell my kids now is, don't lie to me. Just tell me the truth and we'll figure it out. But when I find out you're lying or making up stories, that's when the pain comes. So to speak.
Right. Now,
that was just too much. Just to finish that, booking got to be just a full-time job, and I wasn't enjoying it as much. When I was just searching for bands to fill spots all the time, I wasn't enjoying the music anymore. I was just searching for numbers. And it was about, the venue just wanted to sell beers. So it was just about bringing in a band that I didn't necessarily like, but I knew that they would bring in 200 people. I was going to book them. So that's where it kind of shifted into, you got to do what you love. And I wasn't loving what I was doing. So we switched more toward management on certain select bands and booking certain select bands and away from the venues.
And while we're still on this, and this can get kind of controversial real quick, maybe, perhaps, I don't know, but how often did you see the trends of perhaps the really, really talented artists coming in, not necessarily having that fan base, maybe fighting for those slots for them, or as opposed to other folks? Or was it really just, whatever the venue, you've got to fill a slot with a venue that's going to draw? And were you torn between slots at times? How did that work for you?
Well, that's how I only booked when I was booking for the whole venue. I booked the full night. So it was 4 bands coming in. And I knew the top band had to be a killer band that was going to bring a crowd. Now, the second one right into them had to still be steady. But those first 2 bands, I could do some tryouts. And, and I could also, if I had a huge headliner that was going to bring, 800 to 1,000, I would put a band opening that I actually didn't have the audience yet, but I felt strongly about, so I can get them in that spot to build an audience for them. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just kind of, it's all comes down to, being on the right side and doing the right thing and always working your ass off. And even when you're only bringing 20 people, if I see you out there promoting and handing out flyers, I know you're willing to work, and that's willing to work is probably the biggest part of this business. So that'll help you, even when you're small, it'll help you get those spots.
For sure. For sure. Let's take a look at Berkeley real quick, because I thought that was interesting how you from the way it reads, you went back to school, or you went to school.
Yeah, not to, I don't know, maybe I should rewrite it, but I did the music business degree fully online. Berkeley College of Music has an online division. So I did some of that when I was actually down in North Carolina, and just kind of kept going, taking 2-3 classes a semester, and just, all that stuff has changed now too. We won't go into that, but it's just learning and meeting people too. Like, I met people in those classes 15 years ago. I hate dating myself like this, but 15, 18 years ago that I still talk to. I mean, I have friends in Kentucky that when I had a band, touring across, I could call someone in Kentucky and get them a spot, no problem, just from being in those classes. So it became a network.
Wow.
You've decided, yeah, you have that degree, you can hang on the wall, it's over here. But it's a matter of building up that network as well, and just knowing people and building that knowledge. And like I said, you look years later, a lot of that knowledge has changed. I mean, I have a library of music business books that, they all need to be updated pretty quickly. So
yeah. Well, that's funny. I got my business degree online as well, and it took almost 6 years just because of the
I took
the
6 as
credits.
well, so no shame in that game.
I have relationships written down. We've kind of been talking about that, but before we move on to some of the other items, any other thoughts? Even though that's really been woven in already from what
Right.
we've
Well, even,
discussed.
I mean, take it back to, I met you at the Millennium Music Conference. I mean, I'm a big fan of going to conferences and just, getting your face out there and just meeting people.
Yeah.
And, the Millennium one is a great one, in my opinion, because it's small enough where everyone kind of gets to see the same faces over and over again. And you could actually just walk up and talk to anyone. I mean, even we're both friends with Lou Playa, who, a good example of someone that you put on this pedestal running Reverb Nation. That's, multi-million-dollar business, doing great. And he's one of the coolest guys to, have a drink with that you ever met. And you would know that until you actually just go say, hey, Lou, can I buy you a drink? And, he would usually end up buying me a drink. So it worked out. But it's all about going to those things and being open and speaking to people and just telling your story and listening to their story. You can't, that's another breakdown in building relationships, is it can't just all be about you. You actually got to give a shit about what the other guy is talking about. So
of course,
open up your mind, and you'll pick up a lot of knowledge, a lot of learning, and, things you could use later on the road.
Let's talk about Indie Band Guru then, while we're kind of talking about the conference and you representing Indie Band over there, and obviously working as the headmaster of it. What was the inspiration behind spawning off into that niche of the industry for you?
Yeah, like I mentioned before a little bit, it started off just writing music reviews, and I was never even considered myself a writer, but it was a way to write about music, so I enjoyed it. And it's just I would get so many submissions, and I would see so many submissions that were just crap. And it's sad, like, just when even email as well, an email comes in that says to whom it may concern, I'm not making it past that. If you don't take the time to find out who you're actually emailing, I get, when 200-300 emails come in a day, I don't have time to read them all physically. Jeez. So there's just not enough time in the day. So you got to set yourself apart.
Wow.
By trying to start those relationships. So take it back to Indie Band Guru, it became that there was good music out there, but they didn't know how to promote themselves or how to make those relationships and, build what they were trying to do. It's just, there's so much to do in this business that a lot of bands just seem to go in every direction at once, and you never get anywhere like that. So Indie Band Guru development side became taking those bands and kind of holding their hands and laying out a roadmap for them to follow. And the same thing, saw it work with these smaller bands that, were opening up at conferences for nobody. And by following a plan, it's kind of built up a huge social media following, relatively quickly. And then the next focus was playing the bigger shows. And it's just, if you stick to that plan, one thing at a time, it works. And once I saw it work, with friend type bands, I realized, hey, this could, grow into something bigger where I could bring on a bigger team. I have 2 other assistants that handle the PR with me as well, because that's just a whole nother big time animal. So brought in Sam and Lauren, and they just, helped me take it to the next level as well by just helping these bands to do what they want to do, but don't know how the hell to do it. So.
Yeah. And I have written down your philosophy on social media. Would love to touch on that for a little bit. So there's kind of 2 schools of thought there may be more because I didn't go to school for music business. I just went to school for like a bachelor's of science and just general business. What I've seen and being a millennial and still really feeling oversaturated. I'm one of those guys, and I've said this before on the show. I'm really not a heavy social media guy. Like I'd rather not have to do it, but it's just because in this day and age, you have to do it, especially now. That's all we've got right now. What's your philosophy on it? Have you seen more success over the years with kind of like doing all of the social media platforms, or finding the 2 or 3 that really work and playing those cards? What's your take on this?
I actually a little bit of both.
Okay.
My first thing is, as a new social media, platform comes out, my first thing to do is go and tell all the bands, go and grab your name.
Get your handle.
Go and grab your tag, get the handle, because you may or may not use it down the road, but you want to have that right handle. You don't want to be Jason Damico 626,
right.
.com music. So grab that handle right away. And then at the same time, focus on what you actually enjoy looking at. If you can't really force social media.
Right.
If you're not a word guy, so to speak, where you could relay everything in words, you shouldn't be on Twitter that much. Have an account, check it once in a while. But if you're big game, and now, not to millennialize you, but Instagram is the big one, because you guys are very image driven. So that's what's hot, and that's why it's blowing up, because people are focused on the images. And if you can put together good imagery, that's the spot to be. Facebook is still around. I honestly didn't think it would go this long, but they just keep buying everybody else. So
right.
that's one way to stay in the game. Just buy out your competition. But it's, I enjoy Facebook because aside from even the business, you could kind of create those online relationships almost with, social messaging, and then it turns into, Facebook messaging. I mean, where it's almost like texting your friends that you've never had a face-to-face conversation with. So, but to sum that all up, be on all of them, but pick those 2 or 3 that you actually enjoy. Don't force it, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Instagram for me is a little tougher because I'm not out, taking out my phone and taking pictures of everything. So I feel like I'm just sharing, random images I find, which feels a little phony to me. So I don't use Instagram that much. But as far as Facebook, and I'm looking into more like YouTube now. I want to launch my own channel as well. Even Twitch now is starting to blow up. That's the one I advise now. Everyone get your handle on Twitch, because if it does blow up like they're saying, you want to be ready to go.
Twitch that's kind of like the gaming platform, right?
It started out as gaming, and now music is really taking hold on it, where a lot of live performances. Twitch has the element of people can subscribe and actually offer you a monthly payment base, so to speak.
Interesting. Okay, so it's like Patreon almost, but
in a way. And that's what it turns into. You can still just go up there, and a lot of people just go on there playing video games, and people watch them play video games, which I don't get. I'm too old.
Right. I don't either, but
but my kids will watch on YouTube people playing video games too. I don't get it, but there's something to it, obviously. But music. I think
it's just funny watching people cuss each other out. That's the only reason why I would,
Oh no, I just can't get it when I see my kids watching Roblox. I don't know if you know what that is. It's basically Minecraft at the next level, but
oh boy,
they have the game, but they don't play the game. They just watch other people play it because they aren't as good as the people playing it. So
that's hilarious.
But it is what it is.
Minecraft took over the world, man. That was crazy. And I think the gaming company is like 30 minutes down the road from us in Cary, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so blocky and ugly looking. If for someone like me who grew up on blocky, ugly looking games, when I saw the games advancing and then I saw this backstep to these terrible graphics, it didn't make sense to me. But I don't matter, so to speak. It's the majority that matters in that aspect. So
I like the old games. I like all the Saga stuff, and
oh yeah, those are fun. simple role
Galactica,
playing.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I still have. I'm looking right now. I have the Xbox First Series underneath my desk that I pull out once in a while, and I'll play silly games. But, I was on to sports games as well. But I'll play like Madden from '98. I think is the last one I was really playing, and the graphics are terrible, but it was just good, fun gaming, and it wasn't a million buttons to push. That's when I lost my gaming
Right.
skill. Once the controllers had 7 buttons on them, that's it. I'm out.
Get the knowledge to get known. That's another powerful quote. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? And if obviously you can, define that a little bit more.
That's kind of become the tagline for Indie Band Guru is you can't do what you don't know. So you have to learn which direction you want to go first and kind of put that knowledge. You got to learn what you want to know first. So if your plan, and each artist is going to be different. That's when I first sit down with any artist. Right. I ask them right away, what's the goal? What is the long-term goal? What's the short-term goal? And it's okay for an artist to say, I just want to play around my local area for the rest of my life and make a living, versus the artist that wants to be touring the world, playing packed stadiums. Find your goal, and then you can figure out how to build to that goal. If you want to be playing the packed stadiums, you have to be willing to tour to nobody first. And you have to know how to get in a van and just go. And, the simple things like, how to make sure I can get to the next motel and get gas in the van and, build from there. And it's not just winging it. I feel like I see too many artists just out there like, I'll figure it out on the way. But by taking, let's say, a month or two to learn how it's done and also making some connections along the way like that, and you build up that knowledge, what makes it run much smoother when you actually have to get out there and do it. So put in that knowledge, and then you'll get known if you're willing to put in the work. That's the other part that should be announced. So put in the work.
And this is really hard to answer, but because nobody knows when this whole shut-in is going to be lifted. But with touring and all of that, where's the silver lining in all of this? Because I think you would agree with me from the standpoint that a lot of artists, including myself, we got into this when we did, and I've been into it before I was like in grade school even. I mean, from toddler years. It was just about that incredible feeling of getting to be able to play for people. And then once you mature a little bit more, you realize that really the greatest gift is that your music does something for them. And, just helping the world out with your music, whatever the vibe is, whatever it's doing, just trying to spread that love and positivity. Where do you see this for bands coming up now in the next 6, 12, 18 months? Is it basically all virtual?
It's going to be a lot of that. I mean, we got to face facts with that. I mean, spin off I launched a Facebook group page, IBG Live right now, where we're just hosting every night. We're hosting, artists that want to come on and stream concerts because that's all we have right now. So you got to be willing to do that. It's a big transition. And I've seen giant bands that have huge followings that can't do it. So
interesting.
It's just they don't have that connection. They're used to that connection with a huge crowd, but when you just play into a camera, you could tell they just don't have it. And it's kind of I don't know the right word, but it kind of gives the normal artist that is able to just have a conversation through the stage that like leverage to like, hey, this is the new normal. So be able to have a conversation from the stage. You're playing, and yes, it's just in front of a little camera in your own basement, but there could be 1 million people out there watching. It doesn't matter if 1 million are watching or 10 are watching, just like being on stage when you start out on the road. You got to play that same show, whether you're at, the biggest place you've ever played, or you're playing that local dive bar where there's a couple drunks at the bar just drinking. But if they'll catch on, if you're playing your heart out, it's infectious. So still be ready to do that because the world will open up again. Smaller venues are going to open up a lot sooner than the bigger venues.
Right.
So be ready to get going. And at the same time, on that note, booking side of it, if you are a road artist to play out, keep reaching out to those venues now, because when it does open up, there's going to be a mass influx of everybody wants to play.
Right.
So you kind of keep your name front of mind, and they'll actually be messaging you when it's like, hey, we're, before anyone knows, we're looking to actually open up in 3 weeks. When do you want to play? And you'll have that kind of, I feel like we keep going back to it, but it's all about relationships,
Yeah.
Be that guy that cares about other people. Ask them, how is it going at your venue? Not when do you open, I want to play. It's like, how's it going over there? Did you lose a lot of people? Do you have to lay off people? Like, what's the scene like over there? And it's just that personality or just being personable that'll let people know who you are, instead of just, yeah, that's that big rock star that comes around once a year that I never talk to when he doesn't want something.
Right.
So, keep those lines of communication open and just keep practicing your craft. As a solo musician, there's no excuse. You have plenty of time now. Practice your craft, practice in front of a camera, practice in front of a mirror. Just perfect that craft. So then when the stages do back open, you'll be ready to roll and not building back up. Just like the athletes, they were talking about basketball on ESPN earlier today. I was watching, and they're looking to open up basketball again, but they want to see which athletes are in shape and which just laid on the couch for these 3 months when they weren't playing. And that's the difference. Like, you want to be the athlete that's been playing the game at your house the whole time, and you're ready to go. You're going to be the starting lineup. So, don't let it slip away just because you have too much time on your hands.
For sure. Artist development for you, it's a whole other can of worms, but any major trends that you've seen? Any advice? What your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like, as I mentioned before, the first thing is know what you want.
Right.
And honestly, when an artist comes to me and says, I want to be, a big rock star, like, what does that mean? What is a rock star to you? Have your actually goal in place, and that's what you can develop. If you don't know where you want to go, you can never get there. It's another quote we'll say Wayne Gretzky said that one too, but I don't know. You got to actually have that direction, and that's what, development is toward. So choose your direction, and then just step by step work it out. You got to develop that plan, and it's hard for a lot of artists that aren't out there, and that's where, people like me come in and could kind of break it down. Find that long-term goal and work backwards. If you want to play at, trying to think of the big stadium down there by you.
PNC.
Yeah, well, we have a PNC here too. That's
PNC's taking over.
Yeah.
There's Walnut Creek, which is
pretty
big. It's like 25 or 30K.
Right. That's a big. No, I think I saw Kiss there years and years ago. So.
Yeah.
But it's like, if your goal is to play there, that's not going to be the next step. You don't go from the local dive bar to there.
Right.
So there's the giant step. Now you got to play festivals, so to speak, and you got to be the opening acts on these festivals. But that's what'll be the step to get there. Before you get these festivals, you have to use people like Lou and Reverb Nation to make contacts with these festivals. And before that, you got to build up your numbers so these festivals will look at you, and just kind of like reverse engineer it of how you want to get where you want to get, and be willing to put in the grunt work, because the beginning is the grunt work. And it's that time of, yes, I mean, I have worked with more than a few artists that are all ready to go when we get started, and I give them work to do. And 2 weeks later, the work wasn't done. So they kind of realize that, that this isn't what they want to do. I give them time. I usually give them 2 months, but in the third month, I've fired more than a few bands from my end, just because it's needless. Doesn't work for me either.
Right.
I mean, on my goal is to build up big bands, and when a band gets big enough, they're like, oh, who'd you work with to get you there? And that's where, my name will come into play. So,
right.
I moved on to, I don't think they were there. They weren't there this year, but band The Wilderness, they're based in Kingston in Ontario, up in Canada.
Yeah.
And they play in Toronto a lot, and they just kind of did exactly what I say. Granted, they had 5-6 guys in the band, so they broke it up. And one guy handled the social media. One guy was handling the images and taking pictures. One guy was doing interviews. And by breaking it all up, they were able to really build up a big brand for themselves. And we were at Indie Week. They just canceled this year's. Indie Week Toronto is in November. And they actually were the best emerging artists last year when I was there with them.
Wow,
So,
that's great.
Just putting in that work. And when I see it work too, it excites me from my end. When I see that what I'm telling you guys to do works, just, be willing to do it. And I'm currently working with a punk band, which I was scared, from the start. They're 20-year-old punk rockers, but they're not working as hard as I wish they would. So, when I tell them, they're at, 600-700 Instagram followers, and they're kids as well. So, get out there and start putting stuff on Instagram, and they're putting one post up a week. That's not going to work. So, be willing to put in the work and let's do it. Find that plan and follow that plan.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is the future as far as the labels are concerned? We've seen a lot of changes over the last 15, 20 years, especially with streaming and all of that. Where does that play into this?
There's no more A&R at labels. I mean, they're out there looking, but they're not looking for a band with good music. They're looking for they're looking for small businesses. So your band has to be a small business that's out there actually bringing in income, out there doing the work, and they want to buy something that's already working.
They aren't developing.
Yeah, there's no more time for that because it takes a lot of money to do that. And as a band, you could bootstrap that and build yourself, from when you go play a show and, you get $300 for a show. It's not like, okay, here's $50 each. Let's go get drunk. It's like, okay, we have $300. We could invest into social media management or some promotion or a PR campaign.
Yeah.
Keep reinvesting that money because that money's not going to come from a label anytime soon. And at the other side of it is, do you need a label? If your goal isn't to be touring the world and just to be making a comfortable living, there's no need for a label, in my opinion, because you can do it on your own and the label's going to take, 20, 25% here, 13% here. They're going to have a booking agent that's going to take 15% there. You could do a lot of that on your own and keep all that money and keep building it. So there's a lot of those stories. I mean, trying to think one off the hand, even like Chance the Rapper is signed now, but he still pretends he's not. But, he's like, oh, I won a Grammy independently as an independent artist. And he did, but there was some money behind him in another way. But the point is like, you can build a brand by yourself. And that's when the labels will come calling. And before we get away from that, I dealt with it this morning. There's so many labels out there that will just randomly message you saying how great you are. They enjoyed your music and they'd like to talk to you about signing you to their label. And they're basically a scam.
Right.
And they pitch, they build you up to, you're so good. I dealt with this morning, no names will come out of me, but
sure.
They build you up that you think, wow, they really love what I'm doing. And say, okay, so now to get started, we're going to need $2,500 and we can start a promotion package for you. That's not a label, that's just someone trying for a money grab. So be cautious. And if there's only one label coming at you, it's not worth signing that one. Wait till you have 3 or 4 labels coming at you, and then you have the pick of the litter, and you're doing it right.
Right.
So
yeah, it's like the Everybody Loves Raymond episode. Remember that with the brother?
Mm-hmm.
Shows up for the headshots and the
Yes. Modeling is another. They've been doing that to models for years and years.
Yeah.
You have a great look. They grab you in the mall. You have a great look. Whatever. I'm not preaching my own horn. They did it to my daughter. My daughter's 12 now. And they grabbed her when she was 9. I'm walking in the mall with her. Oh, wow. She has a great look. How about modeling? I'm like, I don't know. We never really thought about it. Oh, okay. Come down and we'll do headshots and this and that. And I was already curious, took his card, called him up about a week later and said, all right, my daughter wants to look into this. It's like, okay, come down, bring $2,000 and we could do the headshots. I'm like, I'm not, at the same time, I know enough photographers from being in the business that could do great headshots for about $200. So, it's be cautious of what comes your way. When it's too easy, it probably is too easy for a reason.
Too good to be true. Yeah.
Exactly.
Best and worst booking experiences for you. If you had one of each, and you don't have to use any names.
No, name. I try to avoid names at all costs unless I'm bragging about the band. So,
Yep, I'm the same way.
but as far as I mean, there's been too many of them as booking when I was booking for venues. That bad experience of the band has great pictures, the music is so great, and they just preaching me the world, and they're coming from a little further than I would have seen them, and they just show up and have done no promotion, nothing, and they come in and then they want all their girlfriends to be on the guest list, and it's just it happened over and over again, and that's the common bad experience of
Right.
stop preaching when obviously you want to be confident in what you have, but you get a lot further by being honest. So that's the bad experience, and unfortunately it's happened too many times. So the best experience is when bands come in that just kind of gel together, and I've seen bands that I've booked, very proud to have booked, and bands that didn't know each other, and it was 3 bands on a bill, and they all just they hang around backstage a little bit, and they all just gelled so well. And those 3 bands that I put on a random, I'm going to say it was like a Wednesday night in a 150 cap venue, ended up touring together, going across the country together because
Wow.
I kind of introduced them, and they had a killer tour, had a bunch of fun, recorded a bunch of shit on the way, doing collaborations with each other. So, when I see that thing work where I saw something like these bands should click, and they did click, and it went on to even further things, that's one of the best experiences. That's what I do is to, let people make great music and connect them with the other people that help them make great music.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
that's
love
cool.
seeing that kind of success. So
What about like shows that you've seen? Uh any like really amazing life-changing shows?
I'll go back to that Nirvana show up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I was a college student. My buddy went to the University of Buffalo, so I went up there, and it was just mind blowing because that was really the first big concert I ever went to. And by big, it was maybe 20, maybe 10,000 because it was in at the school, at the gymnasium, at the school. So maybe 10, 15,000. But I got on the floor and was moshing my ass off, and it was in Buffalo, so it was freezing cold, and I lost a shoe somehow as I
Oh.
was crowd surfing, but I didn't give a shit. It was just I just saw Nirvana, who has been one of my my favorite bands, still is one of my favorite bands, and I walked home in the snow with one shoe, and
Oh,
it builds that story. Life to me is all about stories, and that's
yeah.
one I'll continue to tell because the show was outrageous. So
What record was that they
that
were?
was that was the In Utero record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
record. They had the whole stage set up.
Yeah.
The what do you call them? The mannequins that were just body parts on the sides of the stage.
Did that come out before Nevermind?
No, no, no. You're thinking
Okay.
of Bleach. Bleach. It was Bleach. Nevermind. And Utero was a little later when David Geffen was pushing them all over the place and they were getting a little too big. So that's when that
Right.
was the last tour
In
when
Utero, did they have like heart-shaped
yeah,
box?
Heart-Shaped
Okay.
Box.
Okay.
All apologies, before they did it acoustically as well.
Right.
But that's where it is what it is we don't know what to believe with Kurt Cobain and what the stories are and conspiracies, but getting that famous that quick and getting pushed out to these giant places that could mess with your head. And, it did mess with his head, and unfortunately he has a drug problem as well, and that's a bad combination that resulted in him not being here anymore. So
I was looking at this, I don't know, you get stuck in these YouTube rabbit holes for no reason.
been there.
Like what? Yeah, like when I'm uploading a bunch of podcasts and getting everything set up. Like I'll have something off to the side, or I'm listening to it like just in the For You section.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something that came across about Guns N' Roses and Nirvana, or like the Axl and Kurt Cobain
Like each
thing.
other.
Yeah, and it was just kind of interesting to me because I never heard of that. Like there's so many things that happen in rock and roll I haven't even heard about them, and I know these bands like pretty well, but yeah, it was a little bit before my time, I guess.
Yeah, that's another thing I recommend too. Is like those band artist biographies, the
Oh
books
yeah.
and stuff. Go read those books because it's just there's so much in there that number one you didn't know about, and number two it's like inspiring. I can't think of the name of the book. There's a book about Henry Rollins and Black Flag,
Oh
and
yeah.
Get in the Van. I think it's called Get in the Van. But it's just that punk scene of how it was just playing with your friends, you know, in a band, and it blew up, and it just they were living the life they wanted to live, and you know, making a living doing it. So kind of inspiring.
Did you ever read Scar Tissue?
No, which
It's really good.
that's Chili Peppers book.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Anthony Kiedis's.
Yes, I didn't read it,
Yeah,
but
and it's just like you said, the stories. I mean, oh my god, like the stuff you read about with just him and Flea, even before the band was really happening, like stuff that they were doing 13, 14, 15 years old, and you know, you hear about his dad and all of that with yeah, and that's crazy in itself, like just really crazy stories.
yeah, stories I like to read about too is I love to read about the drug stories because, you know, granted, I'm not going to say I never didn't have my fun time, but I'm past that now, and
Right.
I still like to read about the crazy chaos of people on drugs without having to be on drugs with them. So
Right, and that's if there's plenty in that book.
right, I can
If
imagine.
you're a Chili Peppers fan,
Yeah,
as you say that you are, I'm not disputing that you aren't. You would really enjoy it.
I should. That's right. There's more books in my library that I need to read, and it's been tough because I'm always friggin' working now.
Right.
And I'm on the other side writing artist biographies and band biographies, so I don't get to actually read the books of biographies that I want to read anymore. But definitely got to take time. It's another thing. You got to take time for yourself too in this whole game as an artist. Like,
Right.
you know, yeah, it's all run, 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 work, 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 but you need to take time for just your mental status of, you know, do something you want. Yes, it's okay to sit back and watch TV for an hour. You know, it's okay to go read a book for a couple hours. You
Yeah.
know, it's if you're not, don't feel like you're falling behind and not getting ahead if you're taking time for yourself, because that burnout, you know, we've seen it too many times in rock and roll of that burnout will kill you. So,
Yeah.
you know, take time for
I
yourself.
feel like I feel like I've been burnt out for the last 10 years.
Yeah, it is. But it's like you said, you're doing what you like to do. So it's the burnout is tolerable.
I had mentors over the years that told me, they're like, you're so screwed. You know, because it was just so prevalent. Like, and now I look back and it's like, yeah, you're right. There's no other alternative. There's just no other choice. There's no other alternative. You know, we had Gail Rosenberg on from, she's out in LA, and she's done a lot of great things. She runs web and retail out there, and she said something like, it's like the mob. Like, this industry is like once you're in, you just can't get out. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's blood in, blood out, right?
Yeah.
It's that I don't know what you want to call it, but once, even, you know, when I first started getting into music, and it was the Chili Peppers actually in high school. I remember hearing that first Chili Peppers record was probably the one that said, "Hey, I want to make music for a living,"
Right.
and it was just once it's in you, there's no getting out. Like, there's lovers of music, and there's people that couldn't care less of what's on mainstream radio, but you know, for those of us that love music, yeah, you got to just keep doing it, keep making it. And, you know, that's it. The other part, once you create, let's say your first real song, you create your own song, there's no getting rid of that. That's
Right.
it. You're in for life. So,
Right. Well, future plans for you, and we'll also talk about here kind of as we're tail ending this, you know, what you're doing with clients right now, but for future plans, what's in store?
I want to be able to basically scale what I'm doing.
Okay.
So it's been, you know, like I said, I brought on some more people to kind of help me out and build what we're doing. But I want to build out something where I don't have to actually be face to face with everyone because I don't have the time. So I tried writing a book, but by the time I got to the 7th chapter, I had to go back and change the 2nd chapter because the business changed. But I'd like to start to put together some courses, and I am going to start that with a YouTube channel. I'm going to actually make you help me get it started since you're better at that. But
Oh my God.
I have my knowledge to get known series. I have everything written out, and I just got to record them and friggin' get them up there on YouTube. So, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. Even someone who, not saying I know everything, but I know a lot, there's still pieces that I don't know, and I could rely on other people to kind of see that what they know and, use their skills for what I don't have skills in. So I'm willing to do that. And, this consistency that I see you do is what I want to be able to do. And I go in all directions at once, which that's what building up the team and scaling is going to help me do, to try to have some of that focus on helping more musicians. That's kind of the goal, is just to help as many as I can. And as
Yeah.
far as straight on management style, I can only work with really 3 bands at a time is what I limit my management clients to, because after that, I feel like I can't serve them all.
It's a disservice for them at that point. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
disheartening when, people are still coming to you and willing to spend the money, but
Right.
you're not going to if I can't do the work right, it's only going to hurt everybody. And it's going to hurt the other bands I'm working with too. So, sit back and scale. But like I said, I have a team that's building, and it's still building. And if I could get them to be able to handle some of that light duty work, we could bring on more bands. And even
For
PR,
sure.
PR is a whole nother, arm. I've been doing more and more PR. The PR that I focus in is smaller bands that we're not getting Pitchfork right now. We're not getting Rolling Stone right now,
Mm-hmm.
but we build up that little library of smaller blogs and music journalists and even local papers. That builds. People don't realize that those bands that are on the major sites, that's not the first site they've been on.
Right.
They've built up their library of all these other things.
It's a process.
Yeah. And those big sites see that you've got something going on these smaller sites, and they don't want to miss the boat. So,
Right.
what we do with I call it indie PR, and it's just building up that I call it a library. I don't know. I'm using random words now. Just roll with me. But you build up that library, that catalog of smaller sites, and, it builds, and you got to build that foundation to get to the next level. So that's where I'm able to get more people, make more relationships, have more people working under me, which the team now knows, I curated a database of music journalists, not by buying some list from some big space that, here's a list of 2,000 music blogs.
Right.
You can get those, and those are a good start, but we curated our own list of people that we know that we can contact, and they're going to answer our emails.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it's those, I'd rather have those 600 contacts than 6,000 contacts that's just sending a mass email list to.
Right.
So,
and there's just so much time. And, I've talked with other friends of mine about it, and even myself as an artist with just, options, because there's always room to expand on those streaming platforms this day and age. And, and I think, and this will be really interesting to just kind of cap on real quick before we talk about all of your contact information, but there's just certain genres that don't jive with certain platforms. And I've seen this over especially the last few years. There's just certain genres that cater more towards other certain platforms. So I've seen it with a lot of like rock folks like myself. And this could change tomorrow, just like everything in the industry. But traditionally, it's more friendly on YouTube for that real, like, organic kind of like rock blues band type of thing. Whereas if it's more current sounding in the last 5 or 10 years, very auto-tuned, which I'm not right. And I'm not bashing it, because I mean, it's a sound, like it's a sound, and it's kind of like ruling the roost currently. But those are doing a lot better on kind of the Spotify's and the iHearts and all of those.
Right. Well, that's what it is. It's be everywhere. Like I said, be everywhere and see what works.
Yeah.
And there's beautiful things like Spotify for artists.
Yep.
Amazon just launched Amazon for artists.
Okay.
You don't even know like what's out there. What's his name? Guy that does work with Small Town Poets, I think is the name of his band. But he just realized that more of his listeners are on Amazon than even Spotify, which
Interesting.
he never put any money toward Amazon. It's the music is a lot of I don't want to say bluesy, kind of almost gospel kind of. So he gets a big uptick around the Christmas season in his
Right.
spins. But Amazon was paying, he was getting big checks from Amazon after the Christmas season, and he never put
Wow.
money there. So now he started putting in a little advertising budget towards the Amazon followers, and you could advertise right on their stream now, and he's kind of blowing up over there. And
Yeah.
why focus on Spotify if there's more money to be made on Amazon? So
Right. Right.
use those analytics. That's where the analytics come in.
Yeah.
And just see where your fans are, and whether it's YouTube or what. Just keep doing what you're doing. Put it all out there, and I recommend doing it every quarter. But if you're a smaller artist, do it every month and see where the spins are coming from, because
Yeah.
you can find that out now. And put your money toward there.
Google AdWords, the bane of my existence. And it's funny because I started kind of dabbling in that a little bit, nothing crazy over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And, you do those little, and when Instagram ads first started coming out, I was one of the forefronters using them. And it's like $5 ads here and there. They kind of work, they do a little thing, but now everybody's doing it because
Right.
everybody's at home.
Yeah,
Literally at home.
But at this time, it's funny because all those, I was talking to someone about this the other week. There's the ad prices have kind of gone down. You'll get a little more reach for your money right now,
Right.
because all those companies that were selling products from China and stuff, they can't do that right now. And all the restaurants and stuff, they can't advertise how they were. So there's, it's a good time to actually just put something that focuses on just listening to music at home, not going to a concert, that ad spend will go fine right now. That's another
Right.
area that I bring in people. I know what I think is a good amount about AdWords and Google and the algorithms, but there's some people that are just, a special mind about that. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
bringing in some of them helps. It goes a lot further. But be willing to test things too. That's what we were just talking about. Test it. Do those,
Yeah.
do 5 hours a week on different platforms, different wordings, and see what works. Analyzing. That's where the labels used to do all the analyzing for you. Now we got to do the analyzing and find out what works.
You gotta do everything now. Everything.
But find out what works and focus on that. Right.
Yeah. And the trade-off becomes, whether you want to do everything or have some. In your opinion, what do you think was better? Signing off, in some cases, I mean, a majority of your estate musically to a label, or having 100% control and being able to self-manage or build your own team? Where, in your opinion, over the years, what's better?
I'm on the latter side of that. And,
Okay.
building your own team, and be okay with building a team. Yes,
Right.
it'll cost you a little money, but it's a small business you're running.
Yeah.
So, you will spend some of that money that comes in, but at the same time, if you're on that major label, you weren't even seeing that money.
Right.
If you
And you don't know where it's good. You don't know anything.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to go back into the early days when I was, doing music business stuff, of like CD breakage and the nickels and dimes that they were stealing from artists along the way, it was just insane. So if you own all of it, if you have it all under your control and are willing to have work with people you trust, that's the way to do it. And it doesn't have to be hiring some, $5,000 a month accountant. It could be, hey, one of my best friends that enjoys, the money side of it. Hey, dude, help me out with this, and we'll give you a 10% cut. It's so much easier to work like that with people that you trust than to just throw money at a problem and hope it figures itself out.
Yeah. Yeah. Those relationships and those alliances, for sure.
People want to support you. I mean, it's the early fans, they want to do all they can to see you succeed. So it's okay to ask them for help. And when they start doing it and they're good at something, bring them on as part of the team. They want to be there.
I didn't have this written down, but I'll ask this real quick. What do you think is the biggest mistake that you've seen with all the talent that you've worked with over the years? What is the reoccurring theme? And you've probably already touched on it today, but
Well, the biggest thing I see is just not having a plan.
right.
You have to lay out that plan first, because otherwise and I've done it myself. We've all done it. We try to handle everything at once, and you just don't get ahead. You got to have that plan of like, I'm going to take this step first. And, and that's the same thing. Turn off your phone when you got to do some work. The notifications are just, when you try to do everything at once, you get nowhere.
Right.
But if I could put in an hour's time of just like, don't bother me. I'm going to be recording a podcast with Jason Damico, that don't bother me. And that's going to, help my brand and help us all. So be willing to take one step at a time and just build that plan.
Yeah.
And reach out and have people help you. You'd be surprised when you ask for help how much people will help you.
Where can we find you? We'll have it in the description box below and to the sides, but for the audible version, people are probably driving their car right now somewhere. So where can they find you?
The main site is indiebandguru.com. It's INDIE, not Indianapolis like some people like to.
Right.
But and that's everywhere, because I was smart enough to go grab that name. At Indie Band Guru is on Twitter, it's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, and I do answer all the messages. So that's the main thing. And,
he does, folks.
I want to give it to you
he
personally,
does.
because I know people that are watching this are actually into the music business and are serious about their stuff. Send the email right to me personally at Keith, KEITH, at indiebandguru.com. And you get right to me, so you don't have to go through my my hardworking intern that might just cancel you out sometimes.
Ah,
Get right to me, and then we'll talk from there, and I'll help you any way I can.
that's great. Hey, real quick, and we should have talked about this a little bit earlier. Just some Staten Island talk. Did you ever see the Impractical Jokers?
Born and raised. My little brother went to school with all of them.
Ah, so cool, so cool.
We actually we didn't even touch on this, but I'm also a firefighter in New York, and one of the guy's sisters is marrying Sal.
Oh,
year, so
crazy!
Just small world, Staten Island. So
yeah. My uncle, I think he did some work on Q's house. He did flooring.
Well, he was a firefighter too. Mike Quinn was a firefighter.
Right, and that's where I thought you were going with that story.
No, he's another one, but I guess that's what it is. We all kind of know each other from knowing, this one and that one, and
right.
Marriages happen because of it. So
that show, I mean, it's hard to believe how fast time flies, because that show's been on now for almost a decade.
Wow. Yeah.
Like 2012, 2013 was when, because I was like starting college right when that started.
Well, so what I love about that show is that my kids can laugh at it, and they're 11, well, 12 now, 12 and 9, and my father can laugh at it, and he's almost 70, and they're both laughing hysterically at it. So
some people just don't get it, but man, I mean, the people that do, oh my God, like there's just so many great moments. The punishment with Sal, we saw it again last night. Like, it's been years since I've seen it, but when they set him up, it's like one of the earlier ones where they set him up to do the prison talk with the teenagers, and it turns out to be a nursing home. Like, I mean, I was just screaming, laughing last night. It's just, so good. So good.
Sum that up too. Those guys, they're willing to do it. Like,
yeah,
it's just that, it's not comfortable. Everything you do is not comfortable, whether you're in the music business or the comedy.
Oh, the comedic circles, in some ways, I think even more difficult.
You got to be able to just do it, though, because, what makes you uncomfortable is going to make you better. So
yeah,
be willing to be uncomfortable, and it works for them. So
yeah, for sure. Well, listen, I've got a quick little thing I like doing at the end. I call it the shootout, where I'll say a word that's industry related to the guest, and you just fire a word back.
Do my best.
All right. Music.
Business.
Social media.
Hate it.
100%. Live.
Music.
Studio.
Production.
Marketing.
I'm going to go with a couple words. Needed.
Yeah. Sales.
Page is the first word that comes to mind. Sales page.
Streaming.
Spotify.
Berkeley.
Music Business College. Learned a lot.
New York City.
Born and raised.
Pizza.
Delicious.
Yeah. I ask this question to everybody, and it's always, well, not always, but it's traditionally the last question, which is, if you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell him?
I'm going to date myself, but now being a 45-year-old man, so taking myself back 30 years, just realizing that if you're willing to focus and do the work on something, you can achieve it. There's nothing holding you back if you're willing to put in the work and believe in yourself. And doubt will creep in, and doubt crept in for years, with me and anybody in the business. But if you know that it's your passion, you can achieve it. So just realize that. And if I would have been a little younger and more successful by this time, but I'm happy with where I am. So no complaints here.
Yeah, it's always the Tuesday morning, Monday morning quarterback syndrome, whatever,
And even on that too, building off that, is like, don't be afraid to talk to anyone, and not trying to sell them something, but don't be afraid to ask someone, hey, how are you? How's your day? Don't be afraid to smile at someone, because, that's going to build that connection. You never know, who is going to help your career out in a certain way.
Right.
So,
right.
And most people, especially in the music business, the independent music business, will say, we're all working together. We're all on the same boat. The same boat's rising now with this tide rising. So, there's no competition. Working together will get you a lot further. So, be willing.
Yeah. Great stuff. There's so much more we could cover, but do you have anything you want to add that wasn't talked about?
Just, I mentioned it quickly, but I run that IBG Live Facebook group now to showcase some of the live music from home. So that's the other email for that is ibglive@indiebandguru.com. If you're looking to play live, I'm looking to host more and more quality artists from home. Let's try to grow this virtual music conferences, while we're home. So, keep on trucking and keep on playing, and I'll host you to the audience that I can.
Very cool. Well, this is great. I really appreciate you taking the time to be a part of the show and to be a guest.
Awesome, Jason. I appreciate, you having me. I love talking about music. So anyone that'll talk about it with me is always welcome in my book.
Same. Well, thanks so much. You guys have been watching the Jason Damico show or listening to the Jason Damico show. Definitely check out Indie Band Guru's information and Keith's information below. And I think that's it. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Awesome.
Peace.